Meanwhile, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has, of course, called the Russian President Vladimir Putin and has spoken with him in an attempt to try and diffuse the tensions in Eastern Europe. During his conversation over the phone call, the Indian Prime Minister, has appealed for an immediate cessation of violence and has called for a concerted effort from all sides to return to the path of diplomatic negotiations and dialogue. Now, during the telephonic conversation, the Indian Prime Minister also reiterated his long-standing conviction that the differences between Russia and NATO can only be resolved through honest and sincere dialogue. Now, earlier, the Indian Foreign Ministry had announced that at least 15,000 Indians are still stuck inside of Ukraine. Now, during the talks, the Indian Prime Minister spoke to the Russian President about India's concerns regarding the safety of the Indian citizens who are presently stuck in Ukraine, especially the students. Look at these visuals of Indian students outside the Indian embassy in Kiev. And the Indian Prime Minister conveyed that New Delhi attaches the highest priority to the safety of the Indian nationals and also to their safe return to India. Now, India is currently focusing on evacuating its stranded nationals as the airspace in Ukraine continues to remain closed. Meanwhile, the Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also spoke to his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov on the situation in Ukraine, wherein India has once again underlined that dialogue and diplomacy are the best way forward. All right, now to give us more updates in terms of the situation of the Indian students who are presently stuck in Ukraine, we are joined in by our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal, is joining us live on this broadcast from New Delhi. Good morning to you, Siddhant. Now, this, of course, is going to be a difficult time for those Indian students who were in Ukraine to pursue their higher studies. We're given to understand that there are at least about 15,000 of them who are stuck in different universities across Ukraine. What does the Indian government have as a plan to get them back?
So the Indian government has put in place an alternative contingency plan. This contingency plan basically involves the countries who are bordering Ukraine. These countries are bordering the western part of Ukraine, and the Indian External Affairs Minister has spoken to the foreign ministers of these countries yesterday night, and the Indian Ministry of External Affairs is sending a team to the border areas, border checkpoints, so that they can facilitate the exit, the evacuation of the Indian nationals.
Absolutely, indeed. And also at this point of time, do we know of the condition of the Indian students? Because as soon as the war broke out yesterday when Russia invaded, we saw huge traffic jams. We would understand that getting transport facilities even to move inside of Ukraine, from Ukraine onto its neighboring other nations, will be a huge task. Any assistance that is being provided to many of these young Indian students who are presently stuck in the conflict in Ukraine?
Well, if you look at the situation of the Indian nationals, the Indian students, they are, of course, in a dire situation. Yesterday, many of them swarmed in front of the Indian mission. So what the Indian mission has been doing, of course, other than giving advisories, it has been trying to put these Indian nationals to the bomb shelters so that there is, of course, more safety for them. And, of course, coordinating in terms of the Indian envoy reaching out to these Indian nationals, the Indian students, assuring them of all kind of support when it comes to the entire focus area of New Delhi.
Absolutely, indeed. And also India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has spoken with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Tell us more in terms of the conversation that unfolded between the two leaders.
Well, the Indian Prime Minister and the Russian President spoke yesterday. This was an extensive conversation. Basically, the Russian side briefed on Moscow's intent when it comes to taking this military operation. The Indian side, of course, called for a ceasefire. And, of course, the safety of Indian nationals was the top priority. We know that the Russian president has assured that he will give instructions for making sure that these Indian nationals are evacuated. And, of course, they do not face any problem. But the relationship between India and Russia is a time-tested, warm relationship. Defense being the key pillar of this relationship. And also, interestingly, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Iranian President were the two leaders whom the Russian President had called. In fact, the conversation yesterday, which happened with the Indian Prime Minister, happened at the behest of the Russians. It was a Russian request. So the Russians keen to reach out to non-Western countries, and India, of course, forming a key partner to it.
Absolutely indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Sibil, for joining us and getting us all those updates. They will, of course, come back to you as more details emerge in this story. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.